James Gunn is currently on the last leg of the press tour for Superman. I've been seeing more of him than I've been seeing of the actual cast of the movie, and I'm kind of sick of it. I think it's because he's an egomaniac, and it's funny because he is reacting to his own interviews in real time. These interviewers are asking him about things that he said in an interview the previous week, and he has to clarify something that he said over and over and over again. This time, it is really stemming from his comments about Superman being an immigrant story, which was a classic case of someone taking the bait from a journalist, and it didn't go well for him. And they're also reacting to the box office for Superman in real time. It's doing well in the US, but overseas not performing quite as well. And James Gunn has a theory as to why that he shared in the Rolling Stone interview from over the weekend. They say, there seems to be a thing where superhero movies, including Superman, maybe are not connecting the same way in international markets that they are domestically. Is there anything to be done about that? Or is it just a fact of life now? And he responded, we're definitely performing better domestically than we are internationally. But internationally is also rising and having really good weekday numbers in the same way we are. So obviously the word of mouth is very positive both here and everywhere else, which is the thing that we needed to do the most. At the same time, there are certain countries in which it's performing really well, Brazil and the UK. Superman is not a known commodity in some places.
Stop the cat!
He's not a big known superhero in some places like Batman is. That affects things, and it also affects things that we have a certain amount of anti-American sentiment around the world right now. It really isn't helping us, so I think it's just a matter of letting something grow. For us, everything's been a total win, having the movie come out and be something that has been embraced by people everywhere. This is just the seed of the tree that Peter Safran and I have been watering for the past 3 years. So to be able to have it start off so positively has been incredibly overwhelming.
Okay, so again, as I said, as I burst out there like a child, he's lying. Superman is exactly what a known commodity is all over the world. Everybody knows who Superman is.
Well, would you say that he's less known internationally than Batman?
He is every bit as known. He's part of the trinity of Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, and everybody knows who Superman is. Just because people don't necessarily want to watch the character does not mean they don't know who Superman is. Yes, Batman is probably the most well-known superhero in the world, but the idea that Superman isn't a known commodity is not just a lie, it's a bad lie. Like, it's a really bad lie.
I mean, he's just trying to pin the tail on the donkey somehow that doesn't place the blame on himself and the way he wrote the movie or marketed the movie.
I also thought it was funny because he talked to the interview. It wasn't him, it was the interviewer. It was like, so are the movies like doing better here? No. Superhero movies in general do better overseas than they do here. At least they make more money long term overseas than they do in the US. I thought it was funny because I think it was Avengers Endgame did like $858 million here in America, which is a lot. That's almost $1 billion, but did nearly $2 billion internationally.
Okay. I mean, I don't know because I don't follow this stuff.
So so generally movies make 30 to 40% of their money domestic and 60 to 70% of their money internationally, depending on the film. But for a movie like this, you really want to see those numbers closer to split. You don't want to see a heavy American overperformance because it means that it's not connecting internationally.
Well, he's not wrong in the statement about anti-American sentiment globally, but I think there's more anti-American sentiment in America than anywhere else. Am I wrong to assume that? I feel like there's more hatred, there's more self-hatred in America than there is anti-American sentiment overseas.
Is the idea then that a great deal has changed as far as the sentiment, like anti-American sentiment against this country has gone on for a long time, certainly a lot longer than the last couple of years, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's a meme of like people in other countries disliking America. That's nothing new. But Top Gun Maverick did just as much money overseas as it did here in America. And that's about as American as a movie can get, being as that it's about the American military. It's about an American military group fighting granted a unknown or unnamed foreign adversary. Like, I don't buy that. I don't buy that argument at all.
Well, they also did what they could to distance themselves from Superman's American aesthetic and branding and public image.
Well, then that falls into the category
new
of when
motto.
when you make something for everybody, you end up making it for nobody.
Right. So this is just our set of circumstances in a globalized world. He also addressed some of the political statements that he made about Superman in his previous interview with the Times in the UK. And first off, they mentioned the super shit comments that were featured in the movie in the monkey bot farm. They said, "You've been vocal about your own experience dealing with online trolls and the online rumor mill. I was curious if this was a direct commentary on what you experienced online over the years."
It was kind of funny how in the movie Superman tries to play it off like he doesn't read the comments, and Lois kind of calls him out. I forgot, until we talked about this before the show, I forgot that part of it. One of the biggest uphill battles for Lois in the movie is that she's kind of a cunt. She is. She's kind of a dick to Clark when they're doing the interview under the guise of reasonable journalism, where she's kind of hitting him with barbs.
Well, I think that line is maybe a self-deprecating remark that James Gunn added in there about himself, because he is known for getting scrappy with people in back and forths on X, or not on X, on Threads, actually. But he said,
of course he's on Threads.
"When I thought of the monkey bots, I thought of the foreign governments that are enlisting bots to try to sway public opinion in the United States. More that type of thing. At the end of the day, does it reflect all the anger? I was looking at somebody who was writing something really nasty the other day online. I don't really see too much anymore, but this one guy said something going off on the movie in an especially mean-spirited and weird way." The comic writer Mitch Gerards posted a little keyboard and a monkey next to it, and that's been something I've been seeing a lot lately, which is funny. And that led them to talking about the super woke controversy. This was how Superman was dubbed by Fox News, I think by Kellyanne Conway.
I mean, before the movie even came out, so it didn't make any sense anyways. And that was very annoying.
I found myself laughing about the Fox News and the ultra-right coming out to label Superman as super woke. It's not lost on me that scene where Lois is interviewing Superman. The phrase super woke sounds exactly like something the in-world critics of Superman would say.
It does.
And he said, "I've heard people say it was woke, then I've heard a lot of people say it's not. I'm curious as to what in the movie is considered woke. I think some people took something I said from the Times. Originally, the interviewer said that Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster were the sons of immigrants, and they wrote Superman as an immigrant story. And I said, it's a story about an immigrant, but mostly a story about kindness, which it is. That's the center of the movie for me. That's the thing we can all act upon, is kindness. And so what does that lead to? What does that lead to the way you vote? Sure. Does that lead to everything? Yeah. Does it lead to how many people are dying from road rage? Yes. All of those things are affected if people just start to value kindness. I mean, people did value kindness in the past. That was an American value, and it doesn't necessarily seem to be that way to me anymore. So that was always the center of the movie, and it wasn't about anything other than that. So now he's backtracking even further on his comments about Superman being an immigrant story.
Do you think that that's true? Do you think that Americans valued kindness more in the past than they do today?
I think that we've lost decorum and civility.
In the real world or just online?
In the real world and online. I have noticed, I mean, maybe it's just because I drive a libtard car, but I have noticed a lot of road rage. People do seem to be on edge all the time. People just in daily life seem to be really neurotic and defensive almost. There is a growing anxiety, and people seem to be more aggressive now. They care less about politeness. And I wouldn't say that politeness is the same thing as kindness, but I agree with the heart of what he's saying. That,
well, those ideas, the idea of being polite to your neighbor and all of those kind of, they performed a very important social function, which kind of It's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. It's part of the cohesion that keeps everybody together.
Yeah.
It may be fake. It may not even be real, but it is your ability to adhere to social norms that actually helps keep society together.
Yeah.
Look, him even talking about whether people, nobody I know called the movie woke. I hate that word.
It was mostly just
it was
online.
Fox News. It was like I didn't.
It wasn't
even
just
see,
Fox News,
but I'm saying I didn't even see it until Fox
Yeah.
News did their stupid article and their stupid headline and their stupid segment because Fox News is stupid.
I mean, I have my hot take, and it's that Superman is woke because of the way that they costumed Lois Lane. But that's just me being a contrarian.
There were other look. I saw Disparu's comment. He says blaming it on anti-American sentiment is cope and will stop you looking for the real problem as you gave yourself an easy out to blame. If you'd said it's pattern recognition that American movies have gone down in quality, you may have something rather than just quote unquote America.
I would disagree with the idea that kindness is an inherently American value, that it's somehow uniquely American.
You mean more like a Western value?
I suppose, but that's almost like saying tolerance is a Western value.
Yeah.
That seems to be twisting history.
Mm-hmm. Here, the one thing that I thought was interesting, so because this was a debate that was going on between the box office in America versus the box office internationally, from what I saw, the movies are actually split. Now, I'm not gonna count Batman vs Superman as a Superman movie because it's got Batman first in the name. But if you were to look at all of the Superman movies up to Man of Steel, 3 of those movies ended up with more money internationally than domestic, which was the original 1978 Superman, Superman 4, Quest for Peace, and then Man of Steel, and then Superman 2, Superman 3, and then 2006's Superman Returns with Brandon Routh all did better domestically. But if you look at it, those numbers are not great across the board. And you want something like the Top Gun Maverick numbers, which were both in the high 700 million for both domestic and international, but it was just edged out by international.
Well, to go back to his theory about anti-American sentiment, I wouldn't say it's a reach to say that anti-American sentiment has something to do with it. In America, but he was referring to it overseas.
He's using that as his scapegoat for the overseas numbers.
Yes, I think he was making a dumb excuse, and it was a bizarre way for him to word it. But my theory is that there is a certain palpable self-hatred in this country that has a lot to do with the fact that we can't celebrate a character like Superman the same way that we would have in decades past.
Yeah, because now that's what's interesting is like, okay, so self-hatred prevents them from making a movie that's extremely pro-America,
yes,
as a Superman movie could be. And international hatred, which isn't as great as they're making it out to be, doesn't even matter because the movie isn't an American propaganda film anyways. There was one of those reviews that was like listed superhero movies as like American propaganda or something like that. Like in what way?
Well, depending on who you ask, some people will even tell you that it's pro-Palestine propaganda.
Yeah.
Which was a whole other conversation, a whole other can of worms.
I think that he's reaching for any excuse as to why those international numbers aren't what they need to be for this film to make the money that it needs to make. It's crossed $400 million worldwide as of now, but it's not making the money that it needs to if it wants to be the success that they were hoping for. I do think that it'll end up getting to that, very, very simple break-even point of like 2.5 times the budget, not including marketing, because marketing is another department. And, depending on the day of the week, somebody might include the marketing in that total cost. I know I have in the past, but these days I don't include marketing in the numbers for whether a movie's going to hit break even or not anyways, because they're from different departments anyways. So it's not even necessarily the same thing. So if the $225 million number is accurate, which a lot of people are saying that it's not, it needs to make like $560 something million to even come anywhere near profitability. And even then, remember, like these numbers, it doesn't really matter because if it's $406 million, you're not there yet, and it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do think that they're all over the place with this. And I do wish more people would go see it because I did really, really enjoy this movie. It's been interesting to see people be willing to critique the movie's performance while acknowledging that they liked the movie, which I did. So I hope the movie gets to where it needs to. But the second weekend, the weekday numbers were really good for this movie. But it was like a 54% drop. And that's right in the range of what they were looking for it to be. But that's in lieu of like bad box office overseas, which it's just not reaching.
Overseas moviegoers want to see Dinosaur.
Yeah, they do. It's doing Jurassic World is doing really, really well.
They want
overseas.
the Dino Slop.
Never bet against Dino Slop.
Yep.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.